is Mark McNutt out here in Deadwood, Oregon. It's a little windy today, but otherwise beautiful here at here at Living Well Nature Spirit Sanctuary, where I live. So, I'm going to be talking about astrological happenings, starting with new moon in Gemini, which is taking place on, in the daytime of June 18th, evening of June 17th. It's a time of diversity. So the thing is that I decided to kind of not focus on any one planet, but to do an overview right now. So we're just going to work with the sun and move on back. So at the new moon, it's a time of new beginnings, and the sun and moon are in Gemini, just the tail end of Gemini right now. And so you may have been noticing you've been juggling a lot lately. There's definitely a lot of activity going on. Everything's really heightened right now. It's like bees buzzing in the sun. That's how it feels to me, and maybe that's how it feels in my brain a little bit. But because sun and moon in Gemini and Mercury in Gemini as well. So sun and moon, well, that's about the new beginning time, and the theme of this time being the diversity, being juggling. You know, Gemini rules the hands and has to do with the juggler, the magician, and the magician card. And so we're starting the cycle with that, and it's in square with Neptune, which we'll talk about. But then what happens is we're moving on rapidly into the summer solstice and sun in Cancer and all that. So you may notice the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. That's the declination. The sun gets up to that point in the sky. So when the sun hits the Tropic of Cancer, that's the summer solstice, and that's going to be next week, and that's the highest amount of light, time. And the more we are in the north, towards northern or southern limits, the poles, the more extreme it is. So all of you up in Alaska, if you're listening, this is, as you know, the midnight sun time. And those of you who are nearer to the equator, you're like, it's just a little hotter out or whatever. But it's a powerful time. The months of Gemini and Cancer are the most solar of the year. On the astrological realm, what's going to happen is the sun is going to move into Cancer in a few days, June 21st, as usual, as if by magic. And the moon is moving into Cancer as well, just basically Saturday afternoon, and so Cancer has to do with home and family, nurturing, connection. So it's people have barbecues, and they have different ways of connecting with people through food and through tribe and through that deep-hearted emotional connection. So this is what we had to look forward to, and then as we move outwards, Mercury is also in Cancer right now. Natural time for focusing the mind, for doing a lot of mental activities. And this is going to go on for a few more weeks. So it's really a hyper-mental time, and you should take advantage of it through your communications, through your connections, through teaching, learning, and sharing. Sharing your heart, sharing your mind. Then you have Venus has moved into Leo, and so is Mars. Mars is in Leo too. Okay, Venus has to do with the yin side, and has to do with how we welcome people into, how we welcome people into our internal field. And so Venus in Leo is a real fun party time. It's about love and magic, and no doubt, has everything to do with everything that people associate with the summer. Venus in Leo, it's going to go on for a while because next month Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo. So it gets through a whole bunch of Leo and then goes, oh, wait a minute, let me go backwards a bit. We'll be talking about that more in the month to come, because the dynamic of the summer is very much about Venus and Leo. Just a little preface on that. Any retrograde of Venus is a time when we readdress our relationships, and it can bring up the challenges, but it also, a lot of those challenges come with Venus and Leo, with the dynamicness and with the intensity and with the joy of love, so basically it's the downside of the joy of love is that sometimes we feel that lack or we feel it going away. That's a little later down the program. Mars is also in Leo. Mars, again, fun and games, joy, going for it. Mars is the yang energy, so it's kind of pushing for extreme sports, recreation, Sun and Cancer with the Mars and Leo, that's like paddling down the stream or whatever. So Mars and Venus almost kind of conjunct, if depending on your definition of conjunction. In the transits, they have to be really close together, but they get right now they're about 6 degrees apart, and they don't get much closer. I think they get down to 4 degrees apart. But Venus conjunct Mars is like the yin and yang being balanced through activity, through creativity, through full expression, through love. But it's also going to be a little bit of a tease, because as Venus gets closer to Mars, it's slowing down to a stop, and then goes, oh, wait a minute, let me go over here. And so Venus is going to retrograde in Leo, as I mentioned. Mars is going to keep on going. Mars is going to basically be in Leo most of the rest of this lunar month, and then move on into Virgo. So basically, it's very much about the party. It's very much about being creative and dynamic. One has to watch out for the shortcomings of the ego during these times as well, for kind of the bridge too far and kind of pushing it. I don't know if any politicians are listening to this, but they should. And so then we have Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus. Jupiter's going to be in Taurus all year. I love Jupiter in Taurus because Jupiter is about abundance, and it's about opportunities, and it's the greater benefit, meaning it's our lucky stars. So Jupiter in Taurus, particularly for early degree Taurus people, it's going to be the bang. And all of you, kind of earth signs and all that, you can make a lot of money right now. You can also spend a lot of money, because the downside to Jupiter and Taurus is there's like abundance of Earth plane. That can also mean abundance of bills that you might have to pay. But Jupiter and Taurus is an opportunity, and depending on the aspects of your particular horoscope, there's an outcome. There's all kinds of different outcomes, because Jupiter is conjunct the North Node right now, and has been for the last few weeks, and it's going to move on, and then there's complications there. Those complications can be described perfectly and resolved by way of getting your personal reading. So, of course, we can focus on the details if I'm talking to you personally. If I'm making a generic statement, I can say, oh, it's about abundance of money, but what does that mean? That's just the first clue to the program. So Jupiter and Taurus, things can move. Like, there's a lot going on right now, but Jupiter and Taurus kind of slows it down and says, hey, take care of Earth. Don't forget the Earth. And I guess that also means don't forget the Earth Mother. Don't forget Mother Earth at this time. So then we have Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces, which is a really odd place for Saturn to be. And Saturn is starting a retrograde. And so Saturn stationary in Pisces, starting to move backwards. Saturn in Pisces, well, Saturn's all about earth plane, groundedness, security. Is a very earthing element there. And then Pisces is about the ethereal and nebulous and non-earth plane. The people that I've done readings for with Saturn and Pisces, and that would be the people born in the 1966, 67, and 68, and then 29 years younger, that would be like around 1994, etc. Anyway, those people, when you have Saturn in Pisces, it's hard to know what you're going to do when you grow up, even if you're 60 years old. But Saturn in Pisces, because it kind of dissolves the goals into the nebulous. And then the other side to look at that with is that Saturn in Pisces kind of dissolves previous goals and then sets a person in the direction of what is new and creative and what is inspired by the imagination. I love Saturn and Pisces personally, but I'm biased. Some people can have difficulty with that. I like the having possibilities in my life. Then Uranus is in Taurus and has been for a while and will be for a while. This is another hybrid animal in contradiction, because Uranus is about the eccentric, unusual, new and different, and Taurus is about the reliability of Earth plane. So basically Earth plane change is being shaken up, and that hasn't changed. That's been going on for 4 or 5 years, got another couple of years to it. Then you have Neptune. Neptune's also in its home place of Pisces. I say also because Mercury is also, in Gemini that way. And Neptune is the dreamer planet. So the dreams are really big right now. But with Neptune in square, stressful, with the sun and moon, what that means is you're going to get occasional interruptions like vehicles on the road. And I think that one's going to be loud. So we're going to wait a moment. So Neptune in Pisces brings forth the dreamer meditation, the dreamer medicine, and Neptune in Pisces at this time is square the sun. So that kind of means being pulled imaginatively in a lot of different directions, and that maybe your concept of what you want an outcome to be is not necessarily what's in the cards. So go for the art, go for the vision, go for what really makes a difference to you. Talk about it, broaden it by way of interaction, but don't be so attached, because this is not a good time to be attached to the results. And finally, we have Pluto. Pluto just went in retrograde. It kind of licked at the heels of Aquarius for about 5 minutes, and now Pluto's moving back into Capricorn. So that's our last year of Pluto in Capricorn, and has everything to do with transformation and change in terms of politics, and the law, and how society is structured. And so there's a little bit more moving and shaking coming up. So again, this is, and I should mention Chiron is in Aries. So Chiron, the tiny planetoid having to do with the wounded healer, is in the sign of self. And so there's a lot of self-healing going on right now. So that's an overview of all the planets and what they're doing now. And as you can see, it would be nearly impossible for me to give an overlighting energetic read on what that means in your chart. So it's all going to be very individual, depending on how you're resonating with your aspects and so forth. That's going to be my talk. Contact me for a personal reading and a few other things. Like us on this page. We like to know that you're out there and you're enjoying what we're doing. And maybe you don't like us. Once in a while they don't. So, can't please everybody. And so also the triple flame coming up on the 24th and 25th. We're opening up our place for the first time pretty much since the pandemic, and doing some really special things here. So contact about us. There's a related video on that as well. So I can be found at astrowizardry@gmail, and I'd love to hear from you, and I particularly appreciate comments and questions that egg me on to be more and better. So wishing you all well. Happy solstice coming up.